Well, I don't understand the topic today. It says new evidence around Trump assassination attempt, and you were going to enlighten us on that. But just having a conversation with Breitbart News tech editor Colin Medine, and I saw this article this morning. The Washington Post asked Meta AI, the artificial intelligence tool, was the Trump assassination fictional? And Meta AI said, quote, there was no real assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Definitively. I mean, on multiple different searches, they came up with the same result. So I'm not quite sure why we're even talking today, Daniel Davis. Seriously, I'm not kidding you. You got to check that out. It is insanity going on out there in the world of tech, seeking to suppress information and re-spin it in an Orwellian Ministry of Truth fashion.
Uh,
But here we are today, and every day a little bit more information comes out about this. Yes, they did, or that kid did attempt to assassinate Donald Trump. What more have you learned over the past week and a half, Daniel?
well, there was actually a new video that was at least publicly released yesterday from someone who was videoing right almost in the line of fire in between the building and Trump, and was alerted to it. One of the things that is alarming that we see, you remember one of the first comments that we had from on a Monday last week from then Director Cheadle when she said, we only had a few seconds from the time they finally identified that there was someone on the roof before the shots rang out. Well, this video puts conclusively that to the lie, because there was physical evidence where there were numerous, like 7 or 8 different policemen on the ground, all looking up with their weapons drawn, looking around the building. And I mean minutes, plural, before the shots were rang out. And you can actually hear Trump in the background speaking, so you can tie it exactly to what happened. It matches with other videos. And you just have to wonder, why did all of these people know what was going on? And yet no one took any action. No one called the platform to get President Trump off the platform. No one thought, well, maybe I'll just fire some rounds into the air so people can hear shots fired and they get them down, because they were so alarmed that weapons were drawn. And a policeman's not going to draw his weapon if he's just, suspicious about something. He's got to have a high probability something's going on. Concurrently, we also, you may have seen these pictures of Crooks that were taken from a position of above him, where it was looking down on him. He was looking at a cell phone in one, and he was looking off to the left in another, etc. Those were taken from an open window above the roof line where Crooks was at. And one has to reasonably ask, with all of these cops on the ground and shouting, and then you hear the people on the ground before the shots that he's got a gun, etc. Why would someone in that window who's stationed there expressly to provide security for the president not look out the window, see the shooter there, and take action to stop it? So there's a lot of things that are just not lining up.
Well, not lining up, including what seems to be an absolute utter failure. I'm trying to be delicate here and comply with the FCC rules regarding using curse words, but an epic failure, communication breakdown. Apparently, nobody was talking with each other. The Secret Service didn't have direct lines of communication with the officers who were witnessing this activity. I mean, you mentioned that they were on higher alert. They drew their weapons. I think in large part because there was a widely circulated report among law enforcement that there was suspicious behavior by this person on the ground. They were looking for him. They identified him. They saw him using a finder. So word of that gets around. Clearly, they're going to be on heightened alert, and then lo and behold, there he is on top of the roof with a firearm.
Yeah, and then, and then we'll take that part there about the rangefinder, because that's also curious. From the ABC News video, where you've probably seen where the local SWAT team was interviewed, et cetera, they themselves in some of their text messages identified that he was using a rangefinder pointing toward the platform almost an hour before. And so to me, I'm like, hey, fellas, y'all need to be taking some action here. If you see a guy with the rangefinder, and again, your express purpose is to protect the president of the United States, why did you not take active and aggressive action instead of just send somebody a text and say somebody should check this out? Because that's a red line, a big siren blaring and whatever, that you should have immediately went into action. And yet apparently all he did was send a text and take no further action. And that's another question that I think somebody needs to answer.
Well, clearly, and all of this, of course, fuels conspiracy theories. And I thought it was particularly interesting. I can't remember which representative in interview or when examining Cheadle, who was appearing before that committee, said, "Are you aware of all these internet rumors and conspiracy theories out there?" And she said, "Yeah." "And do you think they're bad for the country, that they're out?" "Yes, they're bad for the country." "Well, then why in the hell don't you do something to dispel them? Answer a damn question. Give us some information." And then they roll out what FBI Director Wray, who suggests maybe it wasn't even a bullet that hit Donald Trump's ear. I mean, I'm. It's almost as if they're intentionally stirring the pot of conspiracy theories by hiding information from the American people.
And one of the things that'll also stir conspiracy theories, and this is from Cheadle, when you will simultaneously not answer a whole bunch of questions, say it's only been 9 days. We're going to do this for detailed analysis. It'll take at least 60 days before we come back, because we want to really do a good job. But then you conclusively say, oh, there was definitely not a second shooter. 100% sure, definitely not. Because people are going, hang on, you haven't even done an investigation. How can you conclusively state that there's not a second shooter when some of the evidence actually does support that contention? Because the acoustic signatures, and I saw literally before I came on your show here, from now 6 different audio sources all show a very distinct, different audio signature from the first 3 and then the second 5 shots that are very different. So somebody who has access to all the information needs to do a thorough analysis and investigation, but don't tell me that there's none when you haven't even investigated.
Well, and she wouldn't even answer the question about information that was in her hand at the time. She was asked specifically, did you interview every agent that the Secret Service assigned to that event? She said, yes, I had, well, by the time she was in front of the hearing. But then couldn't say at the earliest moment when the Secret Service was alerted. It's like, well, wait a second. What do you know now? She wouldn't even answer that question. Okay, fine. You can change it if a report comes out that says you were notified earlier or later, or the information changes. You can say at the time of the hearing, we thought it was a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. She wouldn't even go down that road, which to me I found extraordinarily suspicious.
Yeah, and let's see what happens, because here in Washington, in a little over an hour and a half from now, there's going to be, I think, the acting director of the Secret Service is going to be again testifying. So that person, and I'm not even sure who it is, but I just saw that testimony is going to start at 10 a.m. today. Better have those kinds of answers that all of America deserves to find out what's going on. So let's hope that it's not a repeat of last Monday.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Insofar as the second shooter is concerned, so we either have there wasn't a second shooter, or that they were, whoever is trying to pull this off, assassinating Donald Trump, were even more grossly incompetent achieving their goal than what we believe to have the facts to be right now.
Yeah, and you hit on it a second ago, and I don't want to miss it completely, but the communication aspect is far more egregious than I think appears, because as someone who's done a lot of military operations, especially when you have multiple entities, it is absolutely guaranteed essential and vital to have communication with all of the different elements together, because it's absurd to think that you're going to have a coordinated operation and entire portions of the element to have no communication. I mean, that's so elementary that it's that by itself raises some questions. How is it possible? And this was also revealed yesterday, that the Secret Service guys in the inner ring around Trump never heard anything. No one ever allegedly told them that all these cops for 2 minutes were running around that building. How come none of them ever heard that? Why would no one make that communication when that is central to their role and their mission? So that's another big question that needs answered.
It really is. And if any one of them had gotten the information, or if they did get it, they didn't follow through with protocol, which is say, hey, Donald, don't go out on the stage yet. We got a guy on the roof with a rifle.
Right.
They had enough time for that based on what we know right now, definitively proven that everybody saw that guy up there, including members of law enforcement, before he was able to squeeze rounds off. Someone should have easily been able to call Secret Service, get him off the stage, or don't let him out on the stage. Simple command like that, the whole thing would have been avoided.
Yeah, and the video that I referenced that came out yesterday, that showed 2 minutes and 4 seconds before the shot. So the fact that those cops were already on position means that there were minutes probably before that when someone else alerted them that there was a shooter up there. So there's a pretty substantial period of time where law enforcement officials at both the state and the local level for sure knew what was going on, but somehow that inner ring never got the word. And it's just hard for me to understand where that breakdown may have occurred or why.
Do you ever think we'll find out the truth on this one? Is this going to be like a Warren Commission thing with a magic bullet?
I don't think so, because, for example, unlike the Warren Commission for the assassination of JFK, there weren't 200 people on the grassy knoll with cell phones and recorded. So we have data now that can't be suppressed because so many people have it. So I think that we're going to end up getting the truth of this one.
All right, I'll ask you to do a little tea leaf reading in anticipation that we will get the truth. How long is it going to take? Is it going to be before November or after or?
Well, now that's a little bit because if there's any
I know.
suppression of this information from the official government, then it's going to be a lot harder. But I think eventually it'll come out.
Like they treat FOIA requests from our elected officials to get information our elected officials should have
Yeah,
access to because that's who they answer to. Uh,
yeah, that's a problem. I don't
it
deny it.
is more than a problem.